Busy night of severe weather across the state of Texas. We have tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches, and at the moment we have 19 severe weather warnings as of 7:30 Eastern Time in the great state of Texas. We are, of course, going to cover that to talk about the weather for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states as we move through this coming week. That and so much more on the Joe and Joe Weather Show tonight, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. And they've got everything you need to make your yard looking like the best in the neighborhood this spring, with mulch of different colors, along with topsoil, gravel, and just anything else you need to make your house look great. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. The telephone number is 631-756-1125, serving the entire tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. And the website is
OmniTrueValue.com. Joe Chiaffi.
Yes, indeed. So I can't see the chat board tonight, so Joe Rayo will be monitoring the chat board with all the severe weather going on in Texas. We're going to take a look at that extensively. So if you have any questions or comments, do please put them on the chat, and we will try to address them as we go through the show. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button with your Gmail account, and this way you'll be able to get notifications of the Joe and Joe Weather Show, usually on Sundays at 11 a.m. and Monday through Thursday, most of the time at 7:30 Eastern. And if we do change it, we always let you know. But definitely a very crazy night tonight, Joe. I'm just looking on Tornado HQ, which I will bring up shortly. At right now, we have 10 tornado warnings working at this hour in Texas, between San Antonio up to about Dallas-Fort Worth, and another 9 severe thunderstorm warnings. It's a very, very impressive radar. We're seeing a regional outbreak here of widespread severe weather, and we're going to see another one tomorrow in areas a little bit further to the east.
Well, the interesting, he says wild weather. I was just reading a note from Tim Veltman that in the area, in the region out over the plains where they have blizzard warnings posted, right smack in the middle of that blizzard, there was a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued. So, yeah, there's a little of everything tonight. And of course, we've been talking, Joe, for the past week about how the Storm Prediction Center has been red flagging severe weather across the Southland. And it looks like, by the looks of the way things are going on right now in Texas, in the days to come, it looks like that's going to come to pass for places further to the east as well.
Yeah, tomorrow the risk area is going to move to Louisiana and Mississippi and Arkansas and parts of western Alabama. Tonight, though, it's concentrated in north central. Well, I never know how to geographically look at this, but let's just say the eastern third of Texas, Texas being a pretty big state, as we know geographically. Right. It takes you a long time to go from across I-10 from one end of the state to the other. But it's been very busy with the tornado warnings tonight on I-35 between San Antonio and Austin. We have, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tornado warnings. Some of them come and go very quickly on the radar. You see the red box flashes on, then it moves, or it just goes off. The tornado warnings, depending on what they're seeing, may or may not last. But nonetheless, there's already been reports of some destructive tornadoes in this band, and it's just going to continue to fire up through this evening and into tonight as we see the shift gradually to the east. On Tornado HQ, tornadohq.com, they have a live severe weather map that updates every couple of minutes. So we're now up to 20 warnings. By the way, it's 7:38 Eastern Time, p.m. on Tuesday night. So if you're watching this later on tonight, the recorded version of the show, please be aware that these are the radar shots from hours earlier. So you want to go to your local National Weather Service forecast office and you to see what the latest going on with severe weather, and you can do that by going to weather.gov. So we're up to 20 now. We've got 10 severe thunderstorm, 10 tornado warnings. I did notice that there was also a tornado warning that was up for uh, Dallas. A tornado was located. I'm just trying to find it here. It was up there for near Dallas Fort Worth Airport. Not a confirmed tornado, but a thunderstorm capable of producing one. Uh, but a number of these reports are reporting actual tornadoes. There was one 38 minutes ago over Jarrell or Jarrell, Jarrell, or 8 miles north of Serenata, moving northeast in 30. This is in Bell County in Texas. And I'm just taking a quick glance. There's another one here from 26 minutes ago. Still has another 21 minutes to go. Confirmed tornado 7 miles northeast of Lulling, moving northeast at 40 in the counties of Bishop, Caldwell, Fayette, and Gonzales counties. Now here's the one that I was talking about here at 6:15. Another 20 minutes left in this tornado. A tornado warning. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing tornado over Euless, Euless, or near DFW Airport, moving northeast at 45. And that covers the counties of Collin, Dallas, Denton, and Tarrant. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing these. I'm sort of doing this on the fly. And some of the more recent ones here, there's so many. Boy, here's one just issued 6 minutes ago, Joe, for Bastrop, Lee, Travis, and Williamson counties. At 6:34, a large and extremely dangerous tornado was located near Elgin, moving northeast at 35. That was one of the things with this particular system, Joe. Some of these tornadoes are going to last for a while. They're going to cover a lot of geography. If you look at how it's how the line is on the radar, and those cells moving up pretty quickly to the northeast, don't be shocked if you wind up hearing about a tornado that put down a lot of distance from the time it touches down to the time it falls apart.
And if you're wondering why this area, this cluster in, I guess you could call it East Central Texas, is so prolific, so robust, you need only read the mesoscale discussion, number 295, from the Storm Prediction Center. I'm not even going to read the discussion. You just have to look at the map. Right ahead of this rapidly advancing cold front, you have winds coming up out of a south and southeasterly direction, and dew point temperatures are, I'll read them off for you, 63, 68, 71, 70, and then immediately behind the cold front, the winds are blowing at 20 to 30 miles per hour from the west or west-northwest, and you have dew points of 38, 31, 21. There's one that's right on the Mexico-Texas border. I think it says 14. No, it couldn't be 14.
No, it could.
It
could.
Could it really?
Sure.
14?
Why not?
All of this dry air literally punching in from the west into a mass of muggy, humid, sticky air, and right on along and ahead of the boundary zone, you have these heavy-duty thunderstorms, the threat of tornadic activity, the tornado you just mentioned, Joe, that's moving rapidly across the land. They said that one was particularly dangerous. Maybe we're talking about an F4 or maybe even an F5. I'm not even sure, but that is the reason why you're seeing what's happening right now. Oil and water do not mix, and neither does very cool, dry air. Well, not really cool, very dry air. We have like the dew point depression between one side of the front and the other is something like 40 to 50 degrees. Boom! And that's what's going to produce active and severe weather, and that's what we're seeing right now, again, across a large portion of East Central Texas.
The satellite signature, by the way, on the loop which just loaded its latest frame. So hopefully it'll go back into motion. But you see the rotation here of the upper feature, the cold upper low that is driving all this, and the tropical moisture that's shooting up out of the Gulf of Mexico. And of course, you also see west of that line, Joe, in that dry air, that big dry slot that comes from Mexico, it comes around driving southward from New Mexico and Arizona into Mexico, and then the dry air just gets shot up to the northeast into West Texas. It's a very powerful upper air system, creating a very unstable air mass. And you're at a time of year where the southern part of the U.S., actually all of the U.S., is warming up. All of Canada is warming up in general. We're talking about in theory now. It might not necessarily apply to specific areas, but this is a time of year where you still have residual cold Canadian air masses coming down and interacting with very warm tropical air coming up out from the south, and the result is an atmospheric explosion, if you will, in terms of these small scale cyclones, these tornadoes that develop out of all of this. This is a really well defined system here.
Absolutely. And this is a rather dramatic area. Dare I say, Joe, this might be the most prolific area of tornadic activity since that bevy or cluster of storms that hit parts of Kentucky back in early December. This really is
it's been a while.
Very dangerous. Yeah, it has. It has. Somebody on the chat board commenting that he can't remember. It was James Davidson. I don't ever remember March having these many tornadoes all at one time. My prayers go out to all those people in these areas. Well, yeah, it was kind of quiet. It was quiet for a while. I mean, we did have severe weather and storms from time to time, but not all that much to write home about. But this is certainly one for the books. And sadly, it looks like we're going to see another round of this type of activity as this system slowly but surely progresses across the Southland during tomorrow and on into Wednesday. And again, this is what we've been talking about since last week. This is the reason why the folks over at SPC stuck their neck out and actually put predictions out for day 7 and day 8. And it looks like that's going to come to pass, sadly enough.
And they also, by the way, went to the enhanced risk a couple of days ago before it came into today. They already had indicated an enhanced risk a couple of days ago for both today and tomorrow, and now for both today, right now, and tomorrow's risk area, which will get risk, which is something you don't really see too often. Here's the watches and warnings map. And you can see everything is concentrated there from the Central Plains, where we've got winter weather advisories and blizzard warnings up for parts of central and western Kansas, eastern Colorado, and northwest Texas, for places like up in Amarillo, for example, under a blizzard warning. I don't know what they're doing with respect to snow amounts, but why don't I just pull up their Weather Service page. And also in the yellow, the severe thunder, the tornado watch, the pink or the salmon area or purple, that is the severe thunderstorm watches that are up. And then in that really dark, bright purple, almost the reddish color, that's red flag warnings for all the dry air that Joe was talking about.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Amarillo is forecasting. They're 36.
And of course,
at the moment.
And of course, just as we just mentioned a few minutes ago, I mean, they have gusty west to west-northwest winds in western central Texas where those red flag warnings are flying. And you've got incredibly low with temperatures up near or around 70. So that's the situation. You got dry air, very dry air, gusty winds. That sets the stage for the potential for fire activity. And then as you continue further east, you get into that weather front that's generating all of the showers and storms and tornadic activity. It's a pretty wild night. If you're living in the Lone Star State tonight, Joe, there's no question. There's a big it's a big state, but it seems to have the corner now covered on just about everything you possibly could imagine. The only thing that they don't have is any kind of snow situation, and that's the last thing I think anybody in Texas would want to see. But
Well,
that's the only thing I could see that they don't have.
they're
So
gonna have it up in Northwest Texas. Amarillo's going 4 to 6 for overnight and tomorrow morning. A few other places. I always find it interesting when you got town names that you wouldn't expect. Like for example, I never knew that there was a place called Canadian, Texas, and they're forecasting
yeah,
for less than an inch. And then we have Boise City, which is two. They're going 2 to 3 there. Dalhart, which I've heard of, is 2 inches. Claude, Texas, 1 to 2. But Amarillo, they're going 4 to 6. To the west of them, Vega, 3 to 4, and to the northeast at Pampa, Texas, which I've also heard of, they're going 3 to 4 there. Perryton, further north and northeast, is 4 to 6. Groover, Gruver. Again, if you're watching and you're from that town and I'm pronouncing it wrong, my apologies. 4 to 6, and just north of Groover is Guymon, Texas, or Guymon, Texas. I'm not sure. 3 to 4 there. Beaver, Texas. That I know I can pronounce correctly. Is 2 to 3. 2 to 3. Here's the Storm Prediction Center. The outlook today. They added that moderate risk and expanded the enhanced risk area. And of course, you can see the slight risk pushes all the way up into Oklahoma. But not, well, you know what? Do they have the slight risk? The slight risk doesn't quite. There's a severe thunderstorm watch up in the northwest corner of that slight risk zone. And it goes into a small portion there, Joe, of northwest Texas. And here's where, and also I think at the southwestern Kansas, where they have the blizzard warning up, so you could have the severe thunderstorm and the blizzard warning up at the same time. So that's what we're seeing out of all of this. So here's it is on the bigger map. You'll see it a bit better here on the in terms of the risk area tonight. And those thunderstorms, by the way, are going to go on overnight into tomorrow morning, and then the action, of course, shifting eastward. But you'll see on the map as soon as it puts it there, as the circle of death keeps spinning and spinning away. I'm going to get rid of this. Hang on a second. Let me get rid of that. That might make it a little better.
While you're doing that, thank you to Steve Lapointe, who kicked off the night with a super chat hit. Thank you very much, Steve, for that.
Thank you, Stephen. And by the way, Joe, your sharing is turned on, so if you want to share something, let me know. So there you see the risk areas here, from slight all the way up to moderate risk, and those tornadoes, all those tornado warnings that we're seeing, a 15% chance of tornadoes indicated in that moderate risk zone, in a very large area of 10 and 5%. The 5% covers 1, 2, 3, 4 states. Believe it or not, not entirely 4 states, but a good chunk of the eastern half of Texas and northwestern Louisiana, southwestern Arkansas, southern Oklahoma. Now for tomorrow, as we said, this is all going to move eastward, and we're still going to be dealing with a very, very robust upper air feature. This storm system has not reached its peak intensity yet. It's getting there, but it's going to hold its own during the day tomorrow. So the risk area is going to include a moderate risk for parts of southeast Louisiana, just north and west of New Orleans. Baton Rouge is in the moderate risk. New Orleans in the enhanced risk. Jackson is in the moderate risk. Tupelo, for example, further north, is very close to the border of slight and marginal risk. But you see that area just kind of shifts to the east. Also a small area of marginal risk being indicated in western Missouri. And then for day 3, the activity shifts to the mid-Atlantic states, more south than the northern mid-Atlantic. Not the northern mid-Atlantic, which would be in our neck of the woods, but let's call it the central and southern mid-Atlantic. So you see the slight risk gets up into the Delmarva Peninsula. I'm sorry, the marginal risk does, and goes back up into Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, back into northern Georgia. Looks like I'm just in the marginal risk on the edge of the slight risk that exists from southern Virginia down to the Florida Panhandle. Now, I'm not considering that we're going to have this system impacting the Northeast later Wednesday and Thursday, and maybe even into Thursday night, early Friday, depending on which model you want to believe. I don't think this is going to be one where we're going to see the severe weather risk get pulled up to the north. I think the onshore flow is going to be a little bit too important for too long. I don't know if you disagree with me on that, but I'm not thinking they're gonna push this further north.
No, I don't think so either. And I think actually it's going to be one of the reasons also is that we've got cooler air. I mean, here on Thursday, Joe, I'm thinking that temperatures are going to be, or is it Wednesday? I think Wednesday. I'm thinking the temperatures on Wednesday may very well be somewhere in the only in the 40s to near 50 as we get an onshore flow, a marine air flow coming in, east northeasterly winds. It'll be tough, I think, on Wednesday, I should say, to crack 50 degrees. And we're going to have some rain. I think right now the rain is going to arrive Wednesday afternoon. It will be rather heavy come late Wednesday night into early Thursday. And then Thursday, we'll see that just gradually peter out. But I think in terms of convective activity, aside from maybe a rumble or two, I really think it's going to be too cool and too stable an air mass, at least in our local area, to expect much of anything in terms of any convection. Further south, of course, it's a different story. They're in the Doritos air, so to speak.
Yeah, never heard it put that way.
Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it.
They're in the Baja Marimba Band air mass.
All right, we're down to, as of 7:55 Eastern Time, 6:55 Central. We are now down to six tornado warnings and 7 severe thunderstorm warnings. So at the peak here, at least during the Joe and Joe Weather Show, we had 20 combined tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings. And this is courtesy of tornadohq.com. And just from there, just click on there's an option there on the homepage that if you want to go to the live updates, and you can use that page, and you could use a page that just shows the tornado outlook and the current tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches, and you see them here with the risk zone being indicated from SPC, and then the convective watches that are up from SPC at the moment. The one in Texas, and we've got 2 severe thunderstorm watches across. Both of them cover southern Oklahoma, and the one to the west extends up into northwest Texas, where they've got the blizzard warning up. So why don't we go back to SPC's page? Let's just check the days 4 through 8. I'm thinking that there's probably not going to be anything on here in the long range, but again, if you go to SPC's page and you see something in that 4 to 8 day 8 time frame, that's usually a sign that they're seeing something that gives them the confidence to put it up. You can pretty well bet that something's going to happen. Day 4, predictability too low. 5, 6, 7, and 8, the potential is too low. So we're kind of getting this big bump up in severe weather, and then things are going to quiet down after we get through day 3, which is, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So after Friday, from Friday on, things should calm down from the standpoint of severe weather.
I would hope so. Can't get any more active than what it is like. I'm looking at some of the radar. I'm trying to pick a good one out before I share it. In Central Texas, East Central Texas, I'm trying to get a good view of some of these squalls. Yeah, and they start out, as just a few blobs here and there, and then they kind of interact with each other. Let me see. You said you have sharing capabilities.
Yeah, you can do that. I'll be able to talk. I just want to go get a glass of water. So, but yeah, you can go ahead and put up the map. You're on the screen.
And there you go. This is from Killeen, Texas, Fort Hood, Texas, and you could see. Look at this. I mean, they start out as individual cells of precipitation, individual cells of thunder storm activity. Then as time wears on over the 3 hours, this is a 3-hour loop. Notice how they're all kind of joining together. They say, "Hey guys, let's go." And by the end of the loop, you've got a rather significant squall line that cuts right through the view here. I'm not too familiar with the 3-letter codes in Texas, but again, this is from Killeen, Texas. Austin should be somewhere around here. I simply can't find it, but you could see. I mean, each one of these red blobs, if you will, probably capable of spawning tornadic activity, and they're again moving at a pretty good clip over the 3-hour period from west to east. And you can see how, as time wears on, they just seem to get more intense, more prolific, more robust, and more dangerous, need I say. So activity in Texas tonight, Joe, that's where it's all at. That's where it's all happening. And sorry to say, probably on the local evening newscasts tomorrow night with channels 2, 4, 7 here in New York or whatever. This is probably going to be one of the main stories is the devastation, the damage that is being wrought by these major storms as they cut through again East Central Texas this evening.
So here's the here's the upper air this evening, and if you notice, there's a cutoff low. I'll just mark it off. Let me switch it back here. Just 1 second before one forgets. So here we go. So there's your right in here is your upper low, your very strong cutoff low, and I'm looking here at using the 700 millibar, or roughly about 10,000 feet or so. You see all those jet streaks on the east side, and that strong inflow that is set up of tropical air coming from the south over Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico, getting wrapped up right into that upper low. And then as we move on to tomorrow, the upper low tomorrow actually gets even deeper. It gets stronger when it's in southeastern Kansas. And you see the jet streaks. There's a really impressive looking jet streak overnight into tomorrow morning that develops in East Texas and then moves across Louisiana and into Mississippi and Alabama. So you got to think that those strong winds, and we're looking at winds. I probably should go on a close-up here at this point. But let's go close up and see what we're dealing with. Because I can't really read the wind barbs, but I certainly see. I think there's some fifth. Yeah, the dark spots are right over them. So we're talking at 700 millibars of up to 50 knots. At least some 50-knot wind barbs, even a few of them higher than 50 knots, are showing up there in that jet streak that's swinging eastward. And then, of course, the upper low after tomorrow begins to move northeastward toward the Great Lakes. And while we are seeing severe weather risk on Thursday in the mid-Atlantic states, the upper trough is right to the west. It's not as well defined. It's still there's still a fairly strong trough here, though. I don't want to dismiss it. There's still a fairly strong trough with some negative tilt there, and you can see there's some jet streaks that are showing up in parts of Georgia and South Carolina Thursday morning. But it's not that wrapped up upper low where you get this north-south organized line like you have tonight. You'll probably have more of a broken line of storms for Thursday when it approaches for southern Virginia down into the Florida Panhandle, where you see the main risk zone. And then it actually does kind of form into one solid jet streak there as it moves on out to the east. And, of course, here in the northeast at this point, we're going to be getting into some rain out of this from later Wednesday into Thursday, and this upper trough is going to finally start to exit during the day on Friday, so that we should see some improvement into the weekend, although there's another weak trough that's driving down from Canada across the Great Lakes and into the Northeast on Saturday. We'll see what it shows on the surface. And we're kind of in a very cool-looking flow here this coming weekend, with a bit of an upper low that is over Vermont and New Hampshire. So we're looking like we're going to have a rather cool or chilly weekend coming up, Mr. Rayo.
I agree. And as far as what we're looking at right now, looks like we have some kind of an upper low that's over the panhandle of Texas, and that is firing northward up toward Iowa, and then begins to open up. But before it has a chance to completely open up, we have another upper low that develops to its south that crosses through Arkansas and into western sections of Tennessee and Kentucky by the time we get to Thursday. Then that kind of lifts away. And then, as you just mentioned, Joe, we have another system, another upper low diving southeastward through the western Great Lakes on Friday evening into the Great Lakes for Saturday, and then right overhead, becoming kind of a shortwave trough by the time we get to the end of the day Saturday into early Sunday. So this. I mean, if you're looking for a quiet period, if you're looking for a nice big ridge of high pressure to kind of flex its muscles and give you a several days of dry, quiet weather, that ain't happening. Not with all of this activity. We've got not one, not two, but actually three upper systems, three upper lows that will have a say in the weather in places east of the Mississippi between now and the end of the day Saturday into early Sunday. Again, a very, very active and progressive weather pattern.
Yeah, this low goes so far west up into Wisconsin, so this is just sort of this giant arm that lifts up the East Coast. So it looks like we'll get into some rain on Wednesday. Again, that onshore flow, as you pointed out correctly, is going to make for a more stable air mass with that marine layer. And we get after Thursday morning, most of the rain is along the coast, and then there's another. I guess because there's that lagging trough, there's another impulse here off the southeast coast that pushes rain back northward Thursday night into Friday morning. By Friday morning, the radar presentation of the GFS has it offshore, except for eastern Long Island and southeastern New England. And then over the weekend, yeah, you're not going to be able to have picture perfect weather this weekend because we do have these disturbances coming down from the northwest. Here's one for Saturday, which the GFS actually shows some light rain showers near the coast and well up into upstate New York and western Pennsylvania, down into West Virginia and even western Virginia and eastern Ohio, showing some snow there coming off the lakes. And then as we move on to Sunday, there we go, finally. Sunday looks like a breezy cold day. With a low in the Gulf of Maine, and it's not. I don't know if it'd be windy. Well, it might. Have a sort of a borderline breezy / windy situation for Sunday. Not too shabby a gradient there for Sunday into Sunday night. And after that, in the longer range, if we dare to look, we got this high that comes down from eastern Canada. Joe, the NAO. We're just in time, by the way. Take a look at the NAO. I was looking at this today, and I had to laugh. They actually changed a little bit of the look on the NAO page, and this is not it. So I have to go back to the main page here. Hang on a second. Everybody, hang on. Let's see if this will do it. La da 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 from the Climate Prediction Center. No.
By the way, while you're trying to get that, we were watching Jeopardy. I don't know how many of you watched Jeopardy or saw this evening's Jeopardy. The final Jeopardy question, Joe. The category was singers.
Right.
Who made the Guinness Book of World Records for recording a new slate? A completely new slate of songs at the age of 95.
Besides Tony Bennett?
Words, at the age of 95. It was Tony Bennett. It was so obvious a question. I said, we both looked at each other and said, how could they come up with such an easy question that would you believe 2 of the 3 contestants
Got it
didn't
wrong?
get it? And you'll never guess. They both of the contestants that got it wrong had the same singer. You're not. This is. You want to take a guess what other singer they guessed besides Tony Bennett?
Dolly Parton.
Diana Ross.
Diana Ross is at 95.
I know she's not 95.
85 maybe, but not 95.
95 years old. Can you, I mean, like, I shook my head. I said, what were they thinking? Renata thinks it's because if you were not from the Northeast, he said, if you're anywhere from Boston to Washington, New York, Philadelphia, you knew it was Tony Bennett. But in other parts of the country, maybe not. But Diana Ross, my God, I'd like to see Diana Ross.
I met Tony Bennett. I met him twice in my days at Channel 11. Very nice man. Very nice man. Very friendly.
Yes.
Guess what on the NAO, Joe? I just got it up on the screen. Look what it's doing. It's going negative for the rest of March. It's going negative now, and for the first part of April, we're going to have a negative North Atlantic oscillation. And if you look back on the scale here, from January 1st, the last time the NAO was negative was right before New Year's. And then it went positive on January 1st, and except for the middle of January where it briefly came down to just over the neutral line, it's been positive straight through for the entire winter and the first part of March. Now it goes negative, and you think you know that the snow folks are not happy about this at all.
Right. Yeah, well, good reason. I mean, my goodness. Now, I was looking at the what's called the State of the Climate, the website, the National Weather Service, or NOAA. They just came out with their winter review, and this is very interesting. Give me a chance here to bring this up.
All right. While you go ahead and bring it. I just want to really quick show everybody the Pacific North America Index, which at least most of the winter has been positive. It is actually positive right now, and half the members are slightly positive, half the members are slightly negative. So we're going to have that combined with a negative North Atlantic oscillation or a blocky-looking pattern going into the month of April. That's just going to be dandy, because if you don't have, I really don't know what the state of the East Pacific Oscillation is, but at the very least, it's probably going to mean that we're going to get into some periods where we're going to have onshore flow, marine air, and the curse of the what I always like to call the curse of the onshore flow maybe at play. So just bear that in mind. You get to blocking in April, it ain't fun. Now you can have the board.
Well, okay. December, and you remember that miserable December, snow lovers, where you got nothing, and or hardly anything. And in fact, for the month of December, it was the warmest December in the 127-year history of U.S. weather records, averaging, Joe, 6.7 degrees Fahrenheit above average. Only the far west saw a near average temperature. Everywhere else, it was above normal, with the Central Plains and the Mississippi Valley basking in record warmth. In fact, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama all saw their warmest December on record. Now, in contrast, we all remember how warm December was. In contrast, January was a truly wintry month, especially over the central and eastern U.S. Below normal temperatures were prevalent from the eastern portions of the northern Great Plains, across the Great Lakes, the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys, mid-Atlantic, Northeast. And in fact, overall for the winter, now this is meteorological winter, December, January, February, overall during those 3 months, the average contiguous U.S. temperature was 34.8 degrees Fahrenheit, 2.5 degrees above average. So it was an above average winter. However, that's deceptive in many ways, That ranked in the warmest third of 127 years of winter records. But in fairness, we should point out that the incredibly warm December was the primary reason for this anomaly. If you did not take December into account and only went with January and February, then the winter would have ended up less than a half degree Fahrenheit above normal. It was that December that pushed everything way out of proportion. And again, that's why the winter overall 2.5 above average. But again, there were many days in January and into February that were quite cold. We had quite a bit of snow. But again, December is the thing that made for a winter that averaged again in the top third. And again, that's kind of deceptive. So that was it. A very warm December, and then pretty well near normal, a little above normal in January, a little below normal during the month of February. And those 2 months, again, pretty much made up the winter here in our neck of the woods. But again, December was just out of whack everywhere. And another interesting thing is drought. Joe, 3 years ago, in terms of drought across the entire United States, the percentage was only 11%. We only had 11% drought 3 years ago. Now, as of I speak to you right now, drought is covering 65% of the United States, mostly west of the Mississippi, and in many places it's severe drought or exceptional drought. So in just 3 years, we went from incredibly wet and moist and, oh, there's no problem. Oh, we got plenty of water. Now the situation is turned completely around. And now with our entering now the spring and soon to be summer season, 65% drought out west. You remember back in December, that's another crazy thing. December, they had so much rain and so much snow. In fact, they were setting records in this Sierra Nevada area of California with snowfall. It was one of the snowiest Decembers on record. And everybody was saying, well, we're not going to have any problem this winter. Boy, oh boy, look at all that snow and look at all that rain. And didn't they say that we weren't going to get very much? This is great. This is great. It was almost as if when we got to January 1st, somebody up there turned a spigot. And from then there on through January and February, California and Arizona and Nevada, those places have been virtually bone dry. And that is what has set the stage now for what could be a very horrible summer. I mean, we saw a lot of wildfires and burning last summer, and this does not look like a very good start or good picture as we look ahead in the coming months, unless something amazing suddenly happens and the weather patterns change. They're going to be in big trouble out in the southwestern states.
All right. You have Briller Jeopardy tonight?
Do I have Briller Jeopardy? I do believe I do.
Okay, and we wish the chairman well as he's doing whatever he's doing today. I'm not sure what he's doing, but we wish him well and wish his mother well. I also want to say, because I meant to do this last week, one of our regulars, Mark G, on the chat board, I believe his mom passed away, and we want to extend our condolences and to Mark and his family. So I know I saw the conversation going on in the chat board when I'm able to see it, and then I got distracted and I forgot to say something. So I just wanted to bring that up to everybody. So if you see Mark G on the chat board, wish him the best with regards to the tough time he and his family are going through at the moment. Okay. Let's go.
Right.
Let's go to Briller Jeopardy.
All right. So tonight we head to the home of one of our moderators, Tim Veltman of Albany, New York. And so, Joe, within six for credit, what is the highest temperature ever reported in Albany? The hottest day ever in Albany. What was that?
You know, for some reason, a number higher than New York City stands in my head. I'm going to say 107.
but you're within 6, so you're all right.
Okay.
100, and not only do we have a number, we have it to the nearest tenth of a degree. 102.9.
Oh, okay.
I assume that they rounded that off to 103. So, but that's the hottest temperature. Now, conversely, what is the lowest temperature ever recorded in Albany?
I'll say minus 25.
Close, minus 27.9, and I would assume they rounded that off, so say minus 28. But yeah, it gets pretty darn cold up there, or at least it used to. I don't know, maybe Tim Veltman can chime in here, unless you know, Joe. But I mean, like in much the same way that here in New York City, we got down to 15 below in 1934, but we haven't been below, minus 8 was the coldest temperature reading in the 1940s. And we have not gone below 0 in New York in about 8 or 9 years. So, minus 27, minus 28 in Albany.
Wait, I'm trying to think.
Is that still a possible?
No, Joe, it was a 2016? February of 2016, I think the city got to minus one. So it's 6 years.
All right. But still, what I'm saying is that these extremes, these low temperature extremes, I'm not sure whether or not that minus 27 or minus 28 in Albany, for example, is something out of the early part of the 20th century, or whether or not they've been able to go down that low, let's say in the last, even in the last 50 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. So we'll move on to the next one. What was the warmest overnight low ever in Albany?
I'll say 76.
That's pretty darn good. 77 degrees. And I think the record in New York City is what, 83, 84?
84, I think.
84. Oh. You're in trouble when you start the day each morning, and on any morning when it's like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Current temperature 84. You're in big trouble. What was the earliest date of measurable snow in Albany?
I will say October the 3rd.
October the 4th. And I think that dates back to like 1988. You remember in 1988 or 89, we had a snowstorm. Like the parts of the Berkshires got like 20 inches in early October. And there were many trees that were down. People, who wanted to go, leaf peeping couldn't do it because the trees were not only covered in snow, they were also coming down because of the heavy wetness of the snow. So that was fairly recent, I think, back in like either 88 or 89. Anyway, what was the date of the latest measurable snow in Albany?
The latest measurable? I will say May 14th.
May 18th. Remembering, of course, that just a couple of years ago, and here in New York, we had a trace of snow on the 9th of May. So I'm assuming that May 18th date is probably just a trace as well. I wouldn't even want to guess that snow actually accumulated to any degree on the 18th of May. Most snow in a calendar year. What was the snowiest year or the snowiest winter in Albany? And how much?
The year? And how much?
Right.
Oh, God.
Right.
The year and how much? I will say 1970. Oh, God. 72 or 73. I will say, when was the winter that New York City got their, like that 2 point something? Was that the winter of 72,
72, 73.
All right, so I'll say that.
72,
I'll say that winter in Albany.
Well, you missed by a year. Assuming it's not 71, 72, but more like 70, 71. because all he has here is 1971 in parentheses. And the amount, want to take a guess what the amount was for the most snow?
I will say 100 and 125.
A little bit too much. 103.
103? Okay.
And the bonus question, what is Albany's record for most consecutive days with measurable snow falling? In other words, not on the ground, one of the
Right.
most consecutive number of days, but how many days in a row did snow fall in Albany?
Right.
The record.
Well, we had Caribou the other day. Turned out it was 13 days. So I'm going to say it's probably a little less than that. So I will say 9.
Believe it or not, they tie Caribou.
Really?
In the year 2000, in 2003, Albany had 13 consecutive days with measurable snow.
Okay. All right. See, you learn something new every day.
Yes.
That's
amazing. Ever see one of these, Joe?
See one of what? Oh, moon
I'm
pies?
holding it in the camera right now.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. No. Just want to say, Mark G hitting super chat tonight. Mark, thank you very much. Of course, most appreciated. And again, our condolences from both of us regarding the loss to your mom. Prayers and light your way. All right.
Absolutely, Mark.
Okay.
We're all with you.
Yep. Now
here she comes now.
What she doing?
She's probably. Well, she just got a box of these moon pies, so I grabbed one. And she's probably. We already got oh, wait a minute. Oh, we missed Leon.
Oh, you did?
The late bulletin. Leon, see, that's what she came running down for.
Oh, okay.
See, Leon, Leon, this is how much we think of you. Well, Joe and I think of you a lot, but this is how much my wife thinks of you. She came running down the stairs knowing that the two of us missed Leon hitting the chat board tonight. And she said, on the note here, make sure you mention Leon Probitsky. So we are. Leon, thank you.
And Leon usually shows up on my Facebook page on the weekends when he does one of his live videos from Southwest Suffolk County. He's always cooking something on the barbecue. So by all means, if you want to see Leon's videos, head over to my Facebook page. It's usually on the weekends. I do put them up. So anyway, coming up on 8:30 Eastern time, as we wrap up a busy night of severe weather. Again, if you're impacted by severe weather, any of the radars and satellites that you saw, and some of the warnings that we were talking about, and the watches we were talking about earlier, that was back during the evening hours. We started the show at 7:30 Eastern time, so now we are ending it at roughly 8:30 Eastern time. You're watching it on a replay. Make sure that you go to weather.gov, to your local National Weather Service office forecast page, so you can get the latest on what is going on with respect to the severe weather across the area across Texas, and then for tomorrow in Louisiana and Mississippi and parts of western Alabama, and extending up into northwest Arkansas. And Joe and I will be here tomorrow night at our usual broadcast time of 7:30 Eastern to take a look at what's going to be happening severe weather-wise in the central Gulf states. So everybody have
and Tim Veltman says the snowiest winter was 1970-71, with 112.5 inches. Wow.
Yep. All right. Everybody have a great night. We will Joe and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Okay.